Hello everyone! In this game we will see a dangerous chess strategy and it's unknown for many chess players and probably this is the first time you have ever heard of. It's called the dark squares strategy and it can be called actually a light squares strategy as well. In this game it's a dark squares one. Why does it called like that? In chess the pieces can play 4 colors. For example, the knight and the two knights can play for each color. I mean, the knight can control light squares here, and from here can control dark squares as well. But the bishops can control some of the colors or part of the colors. So the dark squares bishop will control dark squares, and light squares bishop will control dark squares. Now, if we take away the light squares bishop of our opponent, that means we have 3 pieces to fight for light squares, while our opponent only has 2 pieces, the 2 knights, and etc. Let's see the game so the strategy will explain even further. So in this position, or in this game, Nakamura played in the title Tuesday against Hans Nieman, and the game started with d4, knight f6, bishop g5, and this is what's so called the Trompowsky opening, and now d5, and after d5 e3 happened, and now Nieman played the best move c5. After c5, the dark squares, it's not the dark squares yet, but bishop takes f6 actually played. After bishop takes f6, g takes f6. Now, I have as white 3 pieces to fight for light squares, while you have only 2 pieces. This is very actually hidden information that you might see or you might not see during the game and will make a huge difference So after g takes f6, now Nakamura took d takes c5. After d takes c5, Nieman played e6, wanted to take the pawn back, a3, now bishop takes c5, and now in this position, knight f3. After knight f3, knight c6 is played, and now b4, attacking the bishop, bishop back to e7, and continuing the development, knight bd2. After knight bd2, took the center with Nieman, with e5, and bishop e2, improving the bishop, and in this position, e4 is played. After e4, dark squares are kind of weakened. But it's fine. I have 2 pieces to fight for dark squares. You have 2 pieces to fight for dark squares. Everything is fine. Look. Nakamura played knight g1. After knight g1, Nieman went on to play f5. And now, Nakamura played c3. Having a very dangerous threat, which is g3. Say, Nieman played h6. Now g3. And after that, this pawn is fixed. This pawn is fixed. And I have 2 outposts for my knights. That's why in this position, Nieman played f4, in order to have some counterplay later on. The pawn is taken, and now rook g8, attacking on g2. So g3, that's protected, bishop f6 attacking on c3. No, I'm not interested in giving you the material back, and now bishop e6. And after bishop e6, Nakamura started the dark squares strategy and played bishop to b5. Why? Because dark squares are kind of weak. As I do have 2 pieces to play for the dark squares, you only have 2 pieces as well. So I will use my light squares bishop to get rid of your knight. Then I will have 2 knights to fight for dark squares, while you only have 1 minor piece to defend that. What a strategy! So after bishop b5, queen b6 is played, and gladly Nakamura took the knight. B takes c6, and directly knight b3, controlling d4 and c5. Bishop g4 attacking the queen, hoping that you will cooperate and play something like knight e2, and in the end I can take, so you will not have a domination over the dark squares. No, that will not happen, my friend. I'll go simply queen d2, slowly will push you back, and then knight e2. Now castling, and now knight e2. After knight e2, now in this position, if you take, I take back with the queen, and you no longer have a compensation for the extra pawn that I have. So that's why after knight e2, rook d e8 is played. Basically, you might ask, but wait a second, why not knight e2 right now? Maybe e3 is an idea. Maybe it's an idea. Because if you take, I take back, etc. And if I cannot go f3. But after queen d2, you get rid of this idea. And after long castling, now knight e2, rook d2 e8, and I give you the chance only once, and now knight e d4. domination over dark squares. h5, and now c4 was winning according to the engine, but c4 it's completely not practical. Why? Because I have extra pawn, so materially I'm winning, and strategically I'm winning. I have a domination over dark squares, so two knights controlling the dark squares very well with the pawns as well. So why do I need to open things up and play c4, play for the attack? Why do I need to attack even? Simply consolidate the position, queen e3. After queen e3, Nieman tried to stop the short castling, but in vain. Why? Because the king has the time and actually has the safety net or the safety road to go to the queen side. King d2, rook d8, the rook opposing the king, just simply king c2. And now bishop d7 is played, and after bishop d7, maybe you have some hope of c5, play on light square, something. No, knight c5. And now bishop e7, wanted to take, wanted a pawn back, but no, I'm not interested. Knight db3. The knight is protecting the knight. And now maybe rook d1, rook d4 is coming. Bishop g4 trying to stop this. But now Nakamura said h4. You don't have even h4 now. I'm fixing your weakness. Queen b5, a4. Now you need to decide whether you go inside or not. See, decide, inside, it's kind of a rhyme. Anyways, so now if you go queen c4, there is rook d1, rook d4. That's why in this position, Nieman went back, queen to b6, and now rook b1. Why rook b1? Preparing for b5 later on. And after rook b1, rook g6 is played, simply rook b2, and after king c7, the other rook joined the game, rook b8, and now knight d4. And now that's interesting because you are no longer able to take the knight or able to take the pawn, because after taking, now the queen cannot move because you will lose your rook. So after knight d4, king d8 is played, Nakamura played a5, again dark squares, queen c7, and here it's a very interesting idea. Many of trainers and many of players searching improvement talking about how important or how the tactics are is very important to improve, and it is. Calculation is the key skill to improve your chess, but you cannot neglect the strategy, because if you play a strategical game, then tactics will come easily. Why? Because after you play a strategically very good game, probably your opponent will be under huge pressure that will lead to blunders by your opponent. And Nieman here played queen c7. Maybe it's forced even. And now knight a6 now. I'm just forking the pieces and I'm winning. Queen b7, take, and b5. I mean, now you're completely winning. b5, if you go c5, there is knight c6. So queen c7 is played, knight takes c6, takes, and now simply rook b8 check, bishop c8, queen takes a7, grabbing more material and wanted to simplify the position, and after bishop d6, and now the last actually instructive moment of the Nakamura's game. Many of us in this position say, okay, this is a very weak king, no, I want to checkmate my opponent, etc. But remember, you don't need to check your opponent or to checkmate your opponent. You just need to win the game. And the key factor to win a winning position is to kill, not a counterplay. No. To kill any hope for counterplay. So here in this position, there is a hope for counterplay. Like queen c4, queen e2, etc. Check. No, queen b6, check. And this is actually kind of hope killing. Now you no longer have any hope to play or to have a counterplay or etc. So after queen b6, queen takes b6, Nieman took the queen, and in the meantime, he designed the game. So as a summary, remember this very, very dangerous strategy. Whenever you take one of your opponent's minor pieces, then you have a chance to dominate and to attack some complex of squares. So for example, after d4, knight f6, there is, for example, this opening, which is e6, knight c3, bishop b4. And in many lines, I take, you take. Now, white has 3 pieces to fight for light squares, while black has only 2. This is very important idea to keep in mind. Thanks for watching. This is the idea. If you like this concept, I can give you many examples based on that. And don't forget to share and subscribe, and see you soon. Have a nice one.